So on January 1st, 2026, Virginia is going to be implementing a very weird age verification law where they're going to be limiting kids to 1 hour of social media per day. How are they going to enforce this? Not even the news organizations reporting on this seem to know. So in terms of verifying age, we know they're going to be doing the very invasive thing that all these states and countries are doing, demanding ID age verification to make sure that you are 16 or under or 16 or older, collecting that sweet biometric data, selling our information and violating our privacy just so we can use the internet. And obviously all of these states and countries are bouncing back and forth in terms of ideas. Australia went ahead and banned social media for people who are under 16. So it gets to a situation where all these states and countries keep looking at each other like, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good way to violate everyone's privacy and collect everyone's information. So they keep bouncing back and forth from each other. But like I said, the news organization is reporting on this law that is going to be implemented in just a few days now. Nobody seems to actually know what exactly is going on. Devolved this law. But anyways, as you can see, the news presenters even seem confused themselves on how exactly this law will be enforced and implemented, because they haven't even really laid out what the penalties will be if you don't follow this law. As they mentioned in that news presentation, and as we all know, you can also just use a VPN to bypass this type of stuff, and that's why it's pretty worrying when states and countries start proposing laws to try to limit or ban VPNs in general. There are laws being presented around the world right now where people are actually trying to ban or limit VPNs. A lot of people are trying to actually put age verification into VPNs, which would literally defeat the purpose. So it's a pretty weird law, the whole 1 hour social media thing. And as we always say in literally every single video, it has nothing to do with protecting the kids. They just want to collect all of our data. But anyways, NetChoice, which has become like some heroes right now in terms of internet privacy, has went ahead and filed a lawsuit against Virginia as well because of this law. And they have actually done a really good job in stopping laws from being implemented in other states in the United States. I've already talked about it before. They've had a hand at stopping a lot of social media age verification laws in the United States, like in Louisiana. They were actually involved in that one. Arkansas as well was another state that they had some involvement in stopping their age verification laws. Ohio was another one as well. So NetChoice is very involved in trying to get a lot of these laws banned or restricted. And at this point, they've won over my trust. It really does seem like they care about social media privacy and just biometric privacy in general, because they are opposing all of these laws. And like I said, they filed a formal lawsuit against Virginia, and they made a lot of the points that we always make in our videos as well, basically stating that these laws are like imposing government mandated time limits on social media use is no different than restricting reading books or watching documentaries, and it violates the First Amendment. And obviously you have to talk about the cybersecurity risk, because basically if you are asking for sensitive details for age verification, like commercially reasonable methods such as a neutral age verification mechanism, what does that even really mean? I mean, what are you talking about? A selfie, a video verification, submitting ID? Because none of that is safe. It is just the information of little kids when you think about it. I mean, obviously if you're trying to submit a selfie to try to prove your age and you're like 15 or whatever, that is just the information of a child just floating out there in the internet now. It's just a very, very precarious situation. And the main point that they make, which is the main point that we make in all of our videos too, is their lawsuit criticizes Virginia and other states for deciding what's best for kids' online activity instead of leaving that decision to parents. The Constitution, quote, leaves the power to decide what speech is appropriate for minors where it belongs with their parents. Nevertheless, some states have recently taken it upon themselves to try to restrict minors' access to constitutionally protected speech on some of the most popular online services. Courts across the country have rejected those efforts as inconsistent with the First Amendment. I was reading through their whole lawsuit, and honestly, they made some really good points and a lot of stuff that we say in our videos as well. They were talking about the fact that books, movies, television, rock music, video games, and the internet in general have all been accused in the past of posing risks to minors. Today, similar debates rage about, quote, social media websites. These debates are important, and the government may certainly take part in them, but the First Amendment does not take kindly to government efforts to resolve them. The Constitution instead leaves the power to decide what speech is appropriate for minors where it belongs, with their parents. Like the laws that have preceded it, SB 854 violates the First Amendment. It requires social media platforms to verify every user's age and bans anyone under 16 from accessing social media sites for more than an hour a day without parental consent. By restricting the ability of minors and adults who must not prove their age to access these websites, Virginia has, quote, with one broad stroke, restricted access to valuable sources for speaking and listening, learning about current events, and otherwise exploring the vast realms of human thought and knowledge. This lawsuit was really well written, because then they start digging into exactly why the law is so vague and why it won't even work to begin with. It's not even obvious what SB 854 is designed to protect minors from. The law does not focus on any particular activity on social media that may pose special risks to minors, nor does it focus on identifying specific means of or forums for communication that those seeking to take advantage of minors have proven more likely to use. SB 854's definition of social media platform instead appears designed to restrict access to websites that minors especially enjoy using, specifically websites websites that facilitate significant amounts of First Amendment activity. And another great point that they make, and this is another thing that we talk about in pretty much all of our videos, is the slippery slope aspect of age verification. The fact that it spirals out of control and it goes from, oh, we want to try to stop kids from going to adult websites to, oh, they can't listen to this type of music or go to watch this TV show or something. But by that metric, the state could restrict access to the most popular segments of nearly any medium for constitutionally protected speech by be it enticing video games, page-turning novels, binge-worthy TV shows, or marathon movie nights. Burdening protected speech that citizens find especially interesting and want to spend extra time consuming is especially inconsistent with the First Amendment. They probably didn't go into this too much in the lawsuit because it's difficult to prove, but the only thing I would say is I wish they would go into more of the fact of data collection, biometric data, because if you guys remember in that news report, they claim that the data collected from the age verification systems will only be used for the age verification purposes and nothing else. Well, okay, how are we supposed to know that? How are you guys going to prove that to us? We're just going to have to take their word for it. They're just going to take all of our biometric data, our information. They're going to be like, don't worry, we're just using it to verify your age, nothing else. And then all of a sudden they get hacked and all of a sudden there's this huge data leak and they're like, yeah, we don't know how they ended up getting their hands on that information. But yeah, NetChoice is actually going ahead and suing a bunch of different states, lobbying against these laws, and they've actually managed to get a lot of these laws permanently blocked as well. So shout out to them. They're doing amazing work. And as I say in almost every single video I make about age verification, a call to actions, which you guys always ask for, and I always say the same thing: contact your local lawmakers, your representatives, whatever they are called in the state and country that you live in, and find out their emails, email them about these laws, explain why you disagree with them, why they won't work, why they're going to be a problem. And that way, if they get a bunch of emails saying that everybody hates this law, they are more likely to go ahead and lobby against those laws when they end up going to their respective Congresses. You can actually do it directly on the NetChoice app, which is pretty cool as well. They have a section on their website. If you go over to campaigns and click any of the campaigns, if you scroll down, it'll say contact your representative here. Obviously, this is only going to work in the United States, but yeah, basically you can go ahead and enter your zip code. You will find your respective representative for your area. You can go ahead and email them and go ahead and tell them why you disagree with the laws. It's that simple. So let's all do our part and try to stop age verification from taking over not just this country, but this world, and make sure we also have our voices and our ability to put our foot down and protect our biometric data. Let me know what you guys' thoughts on the situation in the comments. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. See ya.